It was a rainy Thursday night in Manhattan, and the hustle and bustle of the city had faded into a quieter hum, the kind that makes every droplet of rain sound sharper, clearer. The Sakura Palace, an exclusive luxury restaurant, sparkled like a jewel against the gloomy backdrop. But inside, well, that's where the real story was waiting to unfold. I was working my usual shift, weaving between tables and making sure everything was perfect, from the sushi to the sake. That's when I saw her, Victoria Steinberg. You know, the billionaire who could buy half the city if she wanted. Only tonight she wasn't in control. She was swaying, laughter spilling from her lips as she tottered her way towards the restrooms. Just as I thought she might steady herself, she stumbled forward, and then wham, she crumpled to the floor. In a split second, my instincts took over. I dashed across the dining room, heart racing, half expecting to get yelled at for touching this high-profile client. As I knelt beside her, I caught her eye and offered my hand. "Miss Steinberg, let me help you. I don't need your help, just back off," she slurred her words, slightly sloshed in that tipsy bravado. Most people would have backed down, but as I looked at her, sprawled across the marble floor, I felt a pang of something deeper. I could see past the glamorous facade. She was vulnerable, staring down at her designer shoes a world away from the confident titan we all knew her to be. It reminded me of my own mother, working 3 jobs just to keep our lights on, yet somehow managing to teach me about grace even in the hardest moments. So I stayed there, compelling her to let me assist her up. And for a moment, I think she did recognize that beneath all the glitz and glamour, I wasn't just a waiter. I was someone who understood the struggles of being underestimated. The next day, I walked into work feeling hopeful, maybe even a little brave, like I could stand up against the waves of judgment. But that feeling crashed hard when I was summoned to the office of Regional Manager James Morrison. The second I stepped inside, I knew the tune we were about to dance to. "Do you think it's acceptable to go around touching clients? I hear you accosted Victoria Steinberg last night," he declared, lips curled in a smirk. "Accosted? I was helping her," I stammered, but James cut me off, his voice dripping with condescension. "People like you can't seem to know their place." That's when the weight of systemic racism settled on my shoulders. It was like a dark cloud, oppressive and suffocating, and honestly, I had to wrestle with my decision to step up. Was my kindness bottled up in some racial stereotype, some excuse for Morrison to assert his power over me? A truth he thrived on because society had taught him to. Little did I know, Victoria had been far more sober than her previous antics suggested. She had actually been observing what went down in that restaurant, seeing beneath the professional veneer of false politeness to the discrimination happening in plain sight. Her eyes were sharp when she sought me out that week, insisting we meet. Andre, she spoke the weight of what she carried in her voice. I didn't realize until last night just how broken this place is. "I want to change it, starting with you." Her words hit like a ton of bricks, but also lit a flame inside me. She presented me with a new ambition. How does a humble waiter become a part owner of a new Japanese restaurant called Kibo, right in Harlem, profit sharing? Better treatment for staff. It all sounded like a dream I never thought could be mine. But it wasn't just the opportunity, it was a chance to make things right. Deep down, I wasn't just fighting for myself. I was fighting for everyone who had been pushed down. So I took her up on the offer. I put on my investigative hat, gathering evidence against Morrison's discriminatory practices. It was like being thrown into the deep end, but as I rummaged through testimonies and meticulously documented events, I felt empowered. Each piece of the puzzle brought clarity and vindication. Then came the big day, the confrontation at the board meeting. Morrison swaggered in, overconfident and arrogant, but so blinded by his own ego that he didn't see the storm gathering around him. Victoria and her legal team had everything lined up, but it was my entrance that brought a hush over the room. With a stack of documents in hand, I stepped forward, my voice steady as I presented Morrison's misdeeds one by one. The air crackled with tension as the evidence began to pile up against him. "This isn't just about me. It's about everyone you've held down," I said, catching his gaze. There was fear behind his sneer, fear of being exposed. In a stunning twist, it wasn't long before Morrison found himself ousted. His reputation turned to dust, while I and my community watched as justice finally reared its ugly head. It was strange to feel so liberated while someone else's world crumbled. It felt justified enough, and yet hollow. Kibbo opened its doors amidst a wave of support, and I threw myself into this endeavor, hiring a diverse team and creating a culture rooted in respect. We worked hard, but it didn't feel like work at all. It felt like redemption. It felt like family. And as I stood there on opening night, surrounded by laughter and warmth, I realized that every insult, every slight that had been hurled at me along the way had merely paved the path to a more meaningful journey. Building this restaurant, I realized that my real victory was never about retaliation, but about lifting others as we rose together. It's easy to feel neglected when society rejects you, but I've learned that sometimes that rejection serves a purpose. It leads you to find your true belonging, your true self. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever faced discrimination? What's your experience been like with society's judgment? Let's start a conversation down in the comments about right versus wrong and how we can uplift each other. Because in the end, finding your voice is the real triumph.